going on, guys? I'm a Challenger Mid, and these are timers that will help you succeed in every single game that you play. We're going to be starting off with the 115 ward, which you see very often in high elo. I like to put mine on this particular spot, which is this little stone, and that's just because it gives you information on Raptor Camp, it gives you information on this ramp, and it also helps your teammates by figuring out if they're starting with a leashless or how the enemy jungle is pathing. If you see the enemy jungle at Raptors with 4 CS, then that means they have done red buff and skipped Krugs. If you see them with 8 CS, that means they've done Krugs and they're full clearing towards topside. And then also you have the added benefit of stopping a gank through this particular route. So the 115 ward is extremely good if you're playing against early game jungles that are aggressive or early game jungles that are weak to invade. Because if I put this ward here and I find out where their jungle is starting and where they're pathing to, then you can just set up your jungle for an invade in that particular fashion. Next up at 140, we have basically when to check for jungle. And the reason why we wait until 140 is because you don't really have enough information because everybody's hiding on the map. So the only way that you can really tell is if you wait long enough. Because a lot of people will just look at 130, they won't be able to make a fair assumption, and then they kind of just lose track of where the jungle is. But you wait until 140, you pretty much already have enough information to decide where the jungle is and where they're heading to. So I know he's pathing towards top side, and I know that Rengar's pathing towards top. 220 is a 3-camp gank right after they hit level 3. Expect this from junglers that have really good early games like Zenzao or Jarvan. I'm going to go and speed through and show you guys when they finish at 3-camp. And you'll see here that Rengar essentially finishing at 220, and then Hecarim also finishing at 220. So both of these players, if they decided to basically kill this camp while heading towards mid lane, they would be in a position to do so. So you take a look at mid lane, neither one is really gankable, so there's really no reason for either of them to path into mid lane here. 245 is a 3-camp gank but cross map, and that's essentially you do both buffs and then exterior camp. Because what ends up happening is if you do red buff into Raptors into blue, you won't hit level 3 because you're doing a small camp. So you're basically forced to do these 2 buffs and a exterior camp, but the benefit is you are going to be able to clear this camp right next to a lane that you want to gank. And that makes it very easy for you to get in position, whereas if you're just to do a 3-camp on bot side, you'd have to run all the way up and skip these camps, which would be a little bit poor timing. But continue to watch these junglers, and you'll see that when they finish their 5 camps, it's pretty much at around 3 minutes for both of these jungles. It kind of speeds up, slows down based on if they get a leash, or if their jungle champion is very good at multi-clearing. But this is the 3 o'clock timer. Right after 3 minutes is when they finish their 5th camp, and then they have a conscious decision, do I gank top lane, do I do another camp? Because they're waiting for crab to spawn at 3:30, so they don't really have that many options. It's either look mid, look top lane, or look bottom, depending on which side they're clearing to, or do this extra camp. You take a look at top lane, top's pushed in, there's no way we're ganking this unless we're playing a dive champion, so Hecarim's forced to do Gromp. Take a look at top lane, Rengar could have definitely skipped Krugs and ganked top lane, if we go back, and it's just a decision that he made to do it anyways, and it looks like he kind of expected that ward anyways. But that's 3 minutes. 3:30 is when both scuttle crabs spawn, so if both jungles are starting on the same side of the map, like in this context, they're pretty much going to end up meeting at this crab at 3:30. So this is why priority matters. But if both jungles are doing different crabs, so let's say Hecarim did this crab and your jungle is doing this crab, you don't need to push up mid lane because you're not rotating to anything. So it's actually better for you to keep your lane here so that your jungle can gank your lane afterwards, because they're going to be in the vicinity anyways. And this is probably one of the biggest tips that you can learn as a mid lane, is just setting up crabs to be ganked, or just having priority to make sure you can help your jungle fight for crab. In this context, I solo killed my mid laner, so I didn't really want to move to this, especially because they were focused on I gank top lane anyways. But it's good to know that jungles will gank at 3 minutes, 3:30, or 4 minutes in particular. So that's at 3:30. And then, of course, after they do crab, they're going to look to gank either side lane or mid lane. So after 3:30, you should expect them to look for that gank as well. You're not really safe until around 4 minutes and 10 seconds. And this is just because the first camp that you cleared has a respawn time of 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Which means that both of these jungles would realistically end up back bot lane at around 4:20. And this is pretty much the most common gank timer for bot lanes to die to, because they'll be pushing in after being in lane for like 4 minutes with no resources, and they'll just die to the gank every single time. But you end up seeing this guy immediately pathing bot side, because gromp what? He's waiting for his Gromp to spawn, and he's like, I'm just going to kill bot lane. Unfortunately, he doesn't get the kill, but he does burn flash, and that's just because these players don't understand that this camp is the next one to spawn, and the jungle is going to be forced to reset into it, and it's just completely avoidable. As a mid laner, if you are dying before 5 minutes, you are effectively garbage or you're being griefed. There's no in between. Hope this helped. Remember to like or subscribe if it did. Thank you so much for watching.